Hi folks, welcome to Barry's Bench, episode 5 of the camera shop build. Today we're going to start assembling the walls of the camera shop. So here I have the 3 walls. So the first wall here was one where the window with the sign is, our little hatch that we took the hatch cover and put it over some board. And we have our rear door here that was cut and set into the rear wall. And then I have my other wall back there that'll be added to the other side. And it'll be gluing these flanges together one at a time using Aleene's tacky glue. So I've lifted the flange so it's a little bit raised, rebent it, and then I'm just putting the glue on here. Let's get the glue nice and even on there. Alright, so I'll take it and gently spread the glue to get it on both sides. Smooth it out so there's not a lot of squeeze out. And let's line it up here. I'm going to make sure there's no part of the white tab underneath that's visible, even though I've took my colors and covered the edges to make sure it doesn't show. I'll take my roller here and line them up so it's nice and square. And let's just press the joint down a little bit and try and clean up some of the excess glue. There's always a little bit of squeeze out. So just get the first part pressed down pretty tight. And let me get my X-Acto out here. Now I need to scrape up the little extra bits. If you miss some, it's not that big of a deal because once it hards, you can cut it off with a knife at a later point. So now we got this pretty well glued. Let's cap our glue up. And we're going to flip it over gently. The turbo tacky glue tacks up pretty quickly, so it's safe to handle right now carefully. So I'm going to press it down a little bit more. The more pressure you put on it, the better the adhesion will be between the pieces. Get rid of the excess glue off my hand. I'm going to take my clothespin there and just really put some pressure on it to make sure it gets a good bond. Now what I want to do is try and weight this joint overnight and make sure it stays good and tight before I go on to assembling the walls into their final shape. So here I grabbed a book off my bookshelf, braced it up with my square, and let it set here overnight to dry. And this works pretty well. It's just enough weight to keep the joint together, so let's put that aside now. So now what I'm going to do is take the other end flange and bend it down so that it sticks up a little bit, just like I did the other side. That way, when you put the other wall down on it in the glue, it'll have a good contact. Get this square out of the way here. And move it off to the side, grab the other wall, and get out the turbo tacky glue again. Then we put the glue on this flange here. Again, just put enough glue to make sure you get a good joint. Don't use too much. When I set my glue out, I like to leave it sit for a second or two so the glue drains back out of the hole. And give it a good squeeze. Make sure you can get clean air in and out. Then cap it. That way it won't clog up on you as often. So there I was spreading glue out. Again, getting contact on both sides. Lining it up. And then squaring it up with my rule. And give it a little bit of pressure on it. And again, take my X-Acto and clean up any excess of glue that's squeezed out. And just give it some good pressure on there to get a good bond. Now let's just flip this over so we can try and get some weight on this joint. And again, we'll put some more pressure on there. Use the clothespin to get a good pressure bond with the glue. And no extra squeeze out. The foam board is a little too tight at the top for my book to fit in there, so we're going to have to do something different here. So let's think what else we can do. Probably use the clothespins to clip the joints together. I'm going to press them a little bit extra here to make sure they stick. And then put a clothespin on the end here. And another clothespin on that side. And once again, here we're done gluing. We'll have to let this set up overnight until the glue joints dried sufficiently. So we will be back shortly. Alright, so our glue had time to dry overnight. And here's the finished wall assembly. We have the side with the small window with the blinds there, the rear wall with the entry door, the nice wall with the brick arch and the little panel there. I've cut a piece of foam board to fit between the walls so I can maintain the front wall spacing and give the whole structure some rigidity. And then next part I went on to building was the front wall. So we cut it out, folded the flanges, and then I cut out the window openings at the top. I inserted the windows into the back as on the other sides. They were same as before, cut out the window, fold the sides, fold the arch, and then I put a piece of foam board in the back to make it more rigid. The bottom here has to get cut out for the windows in the front for the interior. At the top is a stone lintel. So here's the assembled stone lintel. You can see it's got the side at the top and the support braces in the middle and the trim along the bottom. And then the 3 insets, or 4 insets, are 4 separate pieces that are folded and glued in from behind. So that when you put it onto the wall, gives you your raised stone cornice at the top. So Next step is to get everything together. But before I do that, here's the roof we've been assembling. I've cut and folded all the flanges. I did notice, though, that the roof doesn't quite fit very well. I had to cut the corners there and fold the top wall over a little bit more, and I'll glue that down to the back wall, and that lets me set the roof at the right height. The front wall here has to be cut and bent over a little bit lower. It's a little too high. So I've yet to figure out how I'm going to fit all this in. But that'll probably be the last thing I fit into the building, as I need to be able to get inside for running wiring and lighting to the sign and such. I'm not sure where that's all going to come in from. So the roof will be probably the last thing I fit to the building. Next set of videos will be building my interior. Thanks, folks.